Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my co-word and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. I gotta say, this episode of NXT, if there was one word I could use to describe it, it would be weird. A very fast-paced show, but it also didn't come without content. We got some very interesting segments, a very enjoyable main event for my money, and we got the first teaser for who I'm assuming to be Aleister Black, aka Tommy End, which we'll talk about also in this show. Ashton, what do you think of tonight's episode?
I completely agree with what you said, dude. This was a really strange episode. I wasn't really sure what to make of it. I feel like the matches were going by like rapid fire, and it's weird because it seems like they gave us a pretty good amount of content, but nothing really had any substance to it.
Yeah, I'd say the most substantive thing was maybe the women's match and the fallout from that. And then I guess the main event, and again the vignette that we got tonight, which I really enjoyed, which we'll get to. But yeah, definitely a very weird episode in terms of pacing, structure, just everything. So
it's strange because I feel like usually when NXT's back is up against the wall and they have a live special right around the corner, that's usually when they put on their best TV. But this did not feel very focused or driven.
I'm just curious what the end game is, because especially with some things that were happening, I'm like, okay, so how is this going to feed into Orlando? And should I be concerned about this, or is this really okay? So yeah, I had a very mixed amount of emotions. Not even coming down hard on this show. I don't want to make it seem like it's that way. It's just I left this episode thinking, okay, and I think part of me still kind of processing, if I'm being honest. So with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night, and no complaints, no nitpicks, just really a lot to sort through, which is why you and I are here. So do you have any nitpicks or Heats of the Night?
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing is I feel like this NXT threw so much at us so quickly that I don't even know if I've fully processed everything that just happened, even if it's not necessarily the highest quality, but I feel like I can't really complain just because I don't think anything that happened was really awful. It's mostly just why are we doing this?
Exactly. So with that said, let's just keep the momentum going, and let's get right into our NXT review. And we open up with Ty Dillinger, and we presume, at least at first, that he's going to have a match with Eric Young. And Eric Young actually sends Sanity to the back, says, me and you, you and me, we're going to do this. And, I feel like, okay, makes
I got to
sense.
tell you, brother, your Eric Young impression sounds kind of like Rocky. I love it.
Nice. But yeah, he's just saying yeah, you and I are going to settle this. And we think that's what's going to happen. And I'm thinking, well, that's fine, logical. But then Roderick Strong gets thrown out, in front of the crowd by Sanity, all beaten up. And Eric Young's kind of smirking while Ty Dillinger, being a babyface, his attention is now diverted because he's thinking, oh, crap, well, on one hand, I got this match, but on the other hand, this guy that's had my back, he's hurt, so I can't be a dick. I got to go check on him. So he does. And this is where it gets weird. Not necessarily just the mugging, which threw me off, but I thought they were going to gang up on Dillinger here. But then Sanity shows up on the other side of the ring, and they join Eric Young. Then No Way Jose comes out, and he's kind of surveying the situation. And then it devolves into a brawl with Sanity ultimately getting the upper hand. I know that seems like a huge skip, but that's really essentially what happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really good, I guess. What are your thoughts about this?
It was just strange, man. Like you said, that's the theme of the night. This is a weird freaking show. I don't know, man. We open with Sanity beating up. Did Dillinger even get beat up? I didn't even catch that.
I think Dillinger and No Way Jose both got beat up because they were both engaged in the skirmish with Sanity. It's just okay. Sanity, I think, leveled them both.
Yeah, so Roddy Strong, Dillinger, and No Way Jose are probably going to take on Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, and Killian Dane.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping
I
Not
don't
to
know.
cut you off, partner. I apologize, but I just
No,
want
you're
to say
fine.
I'm hoping that if it is going to be a six-man, because I feel like they did a six-man tag on NXT, I want this to be an elimination tag with Ty Dillinger being the last guy on his team and Eric Young being the last guy on Sanity, and Eric Young gets his win, because this is TakeOver Orlando, and I think that'd be a cool moment for Dillinger to have, because we got to start giving him something. Like it's getting ridiculous. I can understand baby faces losing. Believe me, I wish they do that more with certain quote unquote baby faces. And you know who I'm referring to. But with Ty Dillinger, I feel like he's had enough big time losses that now I think we can begin the incline. His climbing up the ladder. So I think doing a 6-man elimination tag where it comes down to him and Young would be a really cool thing. So I'm hoping TakeOver Orlando has that kind of ingenuity, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, just a very weird segment to open the show.
Yeah, I wouldn't go into Takeover Orlando expecting that result because I mean, strangely enough, it seems like NXT is actually quite invested in keeping Eric Young looking strong.
Yeah, which, if I'm being honest with you, dude, I don't want to get like too far ahead of what we're discussing here, so I'm trying to remain grounded, but their investment in Eric Young almost makes me wonder, is Shinsuke gonna, break the glass ceiling and be a 3-time NXT champion? Like, is Root's reign long for this world? Because honestly, I'm really thinking the conversation's gonna have to start at some point of Eric Young versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a feud. That's just my inclination. But again, that remains to be seen. That's purely conjecture. All we know is that this weird brawl segment took place. And I guess cool for Sanity, but I'm just wondering, like, all roads lead to Orlando at this point. So what is going to manifest for TakeOver Orlando from this segment? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm right where you are as far as this show. I was confused by a lot of this stuff and wasn't really into most of it. But like I said, I mean, even with Heat of the Night, like I don't feel like there was anything on this show that really angered me.
Yeah, it's such a weird feeling because I'm not like, oh, that was atrocious. And yet I'm not like, oh, that was amazing. Like the closest I feel about that, again, was the vignette we got for, again, presumably Aleister Black in the main event. Like I really like those two things. Everything else, though, was just kind of like, yeah, you do you. I'm going to keep watching from this distance because it's save over here, but you do you. Yeah. So what came after this brawl, partner?
Billy and Peyton accepting the Breakout Star of the Year 2016 award and then trying to find somewhere to display it in the Performance Center.
Yeah, and this is like another thing too. Like, I get that Billy and Peyton are heels, and this is the beginning of like a weird night for them. Because then they like see Ember Moon working out, and I get that, like, yeah, I guess they're kind of teasing her, but Ember Moon seemed very aggressive. Like, I don't know if it was the adrenaline from the workout. She's like, you want to start something? Like, no, we're just, man, I'm just looking to put a place for our award. Like, and I'm just like, well, okay, whatever gets us to get these two in the ring, I guess. I mean, I personally thought it was adorable that they were trying to find a place for their award. But, what do I know? I'm just,
But
scumbag.
they're heels, John.
Exactly. Like, fuck, you breathing in my direction, bitch? No, 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 So that was weird, but it happened. So that would later lead to Ember Moon versus Billy Kay. Do you have anything to say about this segment? Because I just think the iconic duo is adorable. That's
Yeah,
really my thoughts on the situation.
they are pretty wonderful. But Ember, like you said, like she seemed really aggressive in this segment. I mean, the girls were just like, "Oh, look in there! There's Ember Moon. She's working out. Oh yeah, keep working out, Ember. Keep working out." And they were kind of teasing her a little bit, but she was just like, "What? You want to fight?"
Yeah, it was like it went from 0 to 100. Like, I get that Billy Kay and Peyton Royce were kind of needling her a little bit, but it
Yeah,
wasn't even that bad. It wasn't like
it
they
was
even
fairly
said,
harmless.
yeah, it really was, because it's not even like they said, oh, keep working out, Ember, because Lord knows you need it, because then that would be implying, like, oh, you're fat. And then if Ember wanted to be like, what'd you say to me? Like, then at least, whatever. But it was like, yeah, keep working out, keep working out. Just, to me, it was mindless teasing, and they were just feeling happy from their award. And Ember Moon was like, do not test me while I'm working out. So, I don't know. I just kind of smiled like an idiot through the whole thing, because I'm like, okay, we're doing this. I mean, I still love Ember Moon. Make no mistake. But I had decided the iconic duo here. I'm like, they're just enjoying their award. Are you salty because you were in the same category but you didn't win? Is that what's really going on here? I don't know. But yeah, that was that segment. What came after this?
Aleister Black vignette.
Okay, I want you to go because really, and I gotta say, we got
Dude, don't make me go first. I didn't even know who this was for.
And see, here's the thing. I just want to say that on my part, Aleister Black was conjecture because I was watching it on a stream. Because again, as you guys know, I don't have the network, nor do I have cable. So I was watching this, and everybody's saying like, "Oh, it's Aleister Black. Oh, it's Aleister Black." So I'm thinking, okay, and it makes sense because he's saying not everybody, nobody is entirely good, nobody is entirely evil. I'm not a saint, nor am I a sinner. And it just really had that kind of vibe when I'm hearing like his gimmick is going to be. I loved the imagery. I love the narration. I know we've got Brandon Best in chat, and I know he's really been looking forward to this because I know he said Tommy End is like one of his favorite workers right now. I like vaguely remember his PWG work. It's a lot like Matt Riddle. Like I'm gonna have to go back and watch stuff one day and like really actively be mindful of it because from what I do remember, he is insanely good, and I think he'll be a testament to the roster, especially with a gimmick like this. But I mean, assuming that this is Tommy End, assuming that it's Aleister Black, what were your thoughts about this vignette?
Assuming that that's who it is, I'm pretty excited, but it's just weird to me that they debuted him at the UK tournament, and now they're trying to build him up like he's shrouded in mystery.
It's right because Paulium Gregory here, he said it's definitely about him. It said fade to black at the end, and he posted a completely black picture on Twitter. So, I mean, yeah, it's
Okay.
a little something, but I mean, sometimes it's all you need. So I'll go with it.
Like I said, I mean, yeah, that's awesome, but it's weird that they straight up just like put him out there without any kind of build up in the UK tournament. Like, do they assume nobody watched that? Because I even saw that segment and I barely paid attention to that tournament.
See, yeah, I didn't see that segment, so I am completely in the dark. No pun intended
dude,
here.
It was early on in Neville's heel run, and Neville came out and he was like, "There's nobody in this country that can beat me," and then out comes Aleister Black as Tommy End.
Oh, wow.
And I think they actually called him Tommy End. I don't think they called him Aleister Black.
Wow. So God, you know what? Like, I gotta be honest, because again, I didn't see this, right? So this is news to me, what you're telling me. But kind of like what we did when I was reacting to Raw segments, I'm kind of giving my reaction here. I think that's stupid. Like, I think that sounds like a great match, right? So I'm not begrudging the match. But the idea that you'd even do it when you know that you're building this guy up to be a completely different entity for other purposes, like, wrestling fans aren't stupid. We can be ignorant. I was ignorant because I didn't see it. But now that I've heard it, I'm not stupid. I know that you're also trying to make him Aleister Black for NXT. So which is it? I don't know. That seems weird to me. I don't really necessarily agree with that. All the same, looking at this vignette on its own merits, it was in a vacuum. I thought it was well put together. I love NXT's vignettes, from Andrade Cien Almas to Ember Moon and now to Aleister Black. They're really of quality. And of course, who could forget everybody's favorite, Dan Matha. But yeah, this is good stuff. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I guess. Like I said, I was a little bit kind of not taken aback because it wasn't shocking, but I guess a little bit just confused. I don't know. I wasn't sure why they were building up this character when we've already seen him. But I guess NXT and the UK tournament have different timelines or kayfabe or what. But even then, like, Tyler Bate has already defended the UK championship on NXT, so that's not even fair to say. So I don't know.
Yeah, they really put themselves in a corner with this one. I don't know. I'm curious about future vignettes, if it's going to add anything different, or you know what it's probably going to be. How much do you want to bet that he does debut at Takeover Orlando? Because that's usually what they do with these guys. They debut at a Takeover. So Takeover Orlando debut most likely.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, probably. The question then becomes whom. Obviously not Dillinger because he's already doing stuff with Sanity. Who's like the next like relegated NXT jobber to the debuting stars?
I hate to say it because I love this guy to death, but I'm immediately thinking Andrade.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. You're probably right. He definitely. That's an amazing way to segue into the next segment because up next was Ho Ho Lun versus Andrade, and yeah, Andrade picks up the win here, probably building him up for a loss to the debuting Aleister Black.
And you know what?
It could be Patrick Clark, but That's probably optimistic because we don't want to see Andrade lose, but it's probably going to be Andrade.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing: nothing against Patrick Clark, right? I don't mean this to denigrate him, but
But he's 21 years old. He can afford to take a loss.
he's 21 years old, he can afford to take a lot. But not only that, like if you're gonna do this debut for Aleister Black, and you want this to be a really compelling quality like exhibition match of what he can do, you need somebody that can really bring it out of him kayfabe wise, and I'd buy Andrade to do that more than Patrick Clark. I hate to say it again because I love Andrade, and
Really?
the egoist in me still, because I remember saying earlier in the year that this was going to be Andrade's year. I still want to stick to my guns.
Samson's another option. I
That's
think
true.
you're right, but honestly, the more I think about it, the more I feel like Patrick Clark would be the better choice. And like I feel like I'm thinking the same way that you are. I just have a different view on it because you're saying like Andrade would be the best to bring it out of him, but I think Patrick Clark would be because Tommy End's whole gimmick is that he's this like down to earth, super serious fighter. Patrick Clark is this like over the top character. I think that's an interesting clash.
Yeah, I mean Patrick Clark. Let's be honest here. When Kevin Owens debuted, who was his opponent but C.J.
CJP.
Parker, who I love. Don't get me wrong. I think him and Juice Robinson in New Japan, he's killing it right now. But his gimmick was pretty much a jaded hippie, more or
Yeah.
less. So it very easily could be Patrick Clark. But shifting gears here, you said Andrade Cien Almas versus Ho Ho Loon. I fucking love Andrade, dude. Nothing's changed on that front. The guy is so good. And I really hate again that we've got the Shinsuke's and the Rudes and everybody battling on top of them. And now Cassius Ohno's re-entered the picture. Because I'm like, God damn it. When is Andrade going to get his turn? Like, he's
Never.
so good. And never. And that's why I keep saying, like, I make a difference, or I make a distinction, I should say, between old NXT, which you and I started out with, and this new NXT, because if it was old NXT, Andrade, if he wouldn't have had a run already, he'd be freaking close to it because the guy's a quality heel. But he may never get that chance because all these guys are entering the fray now, which, I mean, great for them. I'm happy for them as individuals, but if I'm looking at the system as a collective, I look at other talents and I'm like, man, I want to see you rise, and it'll probably never happen.
It's funny because a couple of years ago, there were a lot of people that were saying like, oh, you don't get called up to the main roster, you get pulled down to the main roster, because there was a beam at that point that NXT was 100 times better than the main roster. But now, honestly, I wish Andrade was on SmackDown because I feel like he would get used a hell of a lot better there than he is on NXT.
Dude, I'd love to see what SmackDown could do with Andrade because that would be just amazing to me. I digress. He beats Ho Ho Loon fairly easily here with the Hammerlock DDT, which has really grown on me from the first time he used it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. He gets the win. Not that it matters, though, because we were doing rankings. I don't think he'd rank very high for an NXT championship match, which burns me to say in more ways than one, but it is what it is. So Andrade wins. What happened after this?
After this, we had our third match, actually, Billy Kay versus Ember Moon. This was actually a really quick transition from Andrade winning to this match.
Yeah, and a fairly good match. I actually said to you in conversation, this is a rematch from Brooklyn 2, where Ember initially made her debut. And she beats Billy Kay again. Same result. Billy Kay put up a little bit of a fight, but that total eclipse, that corkscrew stunner from Ember was too much. Really, the match isn't the point of conversation. It's the post-match. What did you think about this? Because I even started to get a little uncomfortable the more it lingered.
Here's the thing. I was in a chat that was also watching NXT, and I was saying, like, why are they showing this? Because I was thinking that this is like a legit injury, and everyone was like, oh, it's an angle to get Ember Moon's finisher over as devastating, so when she hits it on Asuka, it's believable that she'll get the win. And, like, I'm sorry, but I don't buy that for a second. Like, I legitimately think that this was an actual, like, why would they show a heel character in a vulnerable position like this?
Yeah, dude, like, And again, they got me. I'll admit to being, I guess, a total mark or whatever you want to call me for this. Because at first I thought Billie Kay was legitimately hurt. I'm like, oh shit, this is scary. Like I
Yeah.
started getting scared for her because she's touching the net, and I was waiting for the ref to hold up the X because I'm like, until I see an X, like I'm uh awkward turtle, but I'm not anxious aardvark just yet. And then I start to think, well, wait a minute, because honestly, this is how my mind works, right? This is all the places that I jump to. I'm like, are they going to wait for Billie to like maybe get up and then Peyton, disgusted with Billie losing, is she actually going to turn on her? But then I'm like, that makes no sense. They just celebrated winning an award together, and I feel like their synergy has never been stronger. So no, a split can't be coming. So what are they doing? And this, if you want to talk about the word weird that you and I both co-signed onto to describe this episode of NXT, this to me was the weirdness at its apex. Like
Yeah.
this to me was the crescendo because I'm like, what the
Yeah, because
hell
like
are you doing?
I mean, Javaris Carter in chat saying the injury was legit, and I thought I read something about Billie being injured at the NXT taping. So like this, even just watching this live, I legitimately thought that it was legit, and then like chat's just like, no, it's an angle to make the Ember Moon finisher look just devastating, and I was like, no, they don't really ever do that. Like there's literally no precedent for the NXT writers or even anyone in WWE writing an injury angle to get a finishing move more over so that it's believable, so that it's more believable as a finish.
You know what's funny? Like, and yeah, I totally believe that she was hurt again. That looked scary.
Yeah. But like
I
that's the thing though, is that like when there's literally no precedent for something like that, why would they randomly start doing it now?
Right. Now, what I want to know is, and maybe Jarveris or somebody in chat can clarify, does anybody know the severity of the injury? Because I was just happy that she was able to walk out on her own power, so I'm assuming maybe not too bad. But yeah, I'm just hoping that she'll be okay and she'll be able to do something and take over Orlando if she makes the card. But yeah, if anybody can clarify like how badly she's hurt, because yeah, that really discomforted me. I was just glad to see her walk and just everything. That was scary. But yeah, Ember gets the win. You gotta wonder too with the way things go anymore. With the muscle buster, and then I know the curb stomp was more like lawsuits and like imitation and stuff. But very quickly a finisher can be taken away for whatever reason. I wonder if they'll let Ember keep the total eclipse or if she'll have to change it up. You don't know. So we'll see. Anything else you want to say about this?
Just thought that it was kind of despicable of NXT. Like I'm again under the impression that this was a legit injury, and NXT shows not only the spot that injured Billie in full, but then like the whole aftermath of her recovering from the injury. And again, if this was a babyface character, I could maybe understand it because then you get sympathy on that character and you can kind of use it to your advantage. But this is a heel character. Heels aren't supposed to look vulnerable. You're not supposed to have her standing up in her own power and have the crowd cheer for her because they're legitimately concerned. Like that should not have been a part of your television product.
No, it shouldn't have. I feel like they lingered on it way too long. And my thing is, at best, if like she really was her and it was like this scary thing, why not just cut so you can get all that stuff? I mean, you put enough commercials in NXT as it is. Why not cut to something, whether commercial or just another segment? And then when you return to the commentary table, you could just be like, oh, Billie Kay had a little bit of a scare, but she was able to walk out on her own power or whatever you want to say. But the idea that you let the cameras linger, and
Yeah.
to your point, it is a heel. Like, I'm not feeling anything kayfabe wise. I'm thinking about Billie Kay, the person, and I'm thinking, oh, is
Right.
she okay? Because Jesus Christ, that's some scary shit. Like, yeah, again, weird episode of NXT, and this is when the weirdness hit its crescendo because I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but just glad she was able to walk out.
Yeah, like I feel like that moment wasn't Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. I feel like that moment was like Cassie McIntosh and Jessie McKay. Like that was the actual, like that was real. Those were not the characters, but the actual people. And like Cassie was legitimately concerned for Jessie, and Jessie was legitimately injured. Like it felt too personal to be on television to me.
Yeah, you articulated it succinctly. I couldn't have said it better. I have nothing else to say unless you do. We can move on.
All right, so then, oh God, T.J. Perkins had an interview where he talked about him and, as he referred to Nakamura, Shin.
Yeah. Really, TJ was just saying, like, I go where the competition takes me. I haven't lost sight of regaining the Cruiserweight Championship, but I'm really excited about facing Shinsuke Nakamura. And that was the gist of the promo. I mean, I still can't stand TJ's talking ability. I'd rather converse with a wet paper bag. But, it was what it was. And in my mind, he made up for it for a really fun main event later in the show, which we'll get to when it's appropriate. But yeah, this was what it was. Nothing exceptional. It was just TJ Perkins being TJ Perkins. You have anything to say about this?
No, this was a horrible interview, dude. He's really bad. Like this interview made me realize just how incredibly badly Ibushi and ZSJ not signing screwed over the WWE.
Yeah.
Because this is the guy that they chose as their first Cruiserweight champion, and the only reason they went with him is because the other option was a Spanish-only guy.
Exactly.
Man. So yeah, they kind of got screwed by those guys not signing. Up next, though, we had the Revival coming out for a match with the Ely brothers, but the Authors of Pain attack. We're never going to get to see the Ely brothers compete, and I'm actually kind of okay with that because I don't think they're particularly good. Then we get a beatdown, Revival escape. John, what'd you think?
I loved it. I love that the Revival still retain their smugness in spite of, the Authors of Pain coming for them, because they had that amazing moment the week prior with the Shatter Machine on Occam, I believe it was. So, yeah, that was really just cool. The Authors of Pain are just fuming. Revival are in their heads, as commentary noted. No presence from DIY, which was a bit peculiar, but I'm sure next week we'll hear something from them. So,
why would they stick their faces in something that has literally nothing to do with them?
You figure...
I don't think they're particularly big fans of the Ely Bros, so why would they come out to defend them,
Well, no, it's not really about them, though. It's about Authors of Pain and the Revival. The Revival cost them the NXT Tag Team titles last week. So, they got a pick, and Authors of Pain are the champions. So, that's why it's going to be a three-way dance. I would hope that DIY had some kind of...
Maybe DIY was like walking backstage, getting ready to go out to interfere in this match or to do the what the AOP did. And then the AOP just passed them by, and they were like, oh, shit, those guys are doing it. We're out.
Yeah. They're probably thinking we got better things to do. We're just gonna wait here, gonna pick our spot. And the Revival was pretty much thinking the same thing, like, oh, we're noping the shit out of this, and we fight on our terms. So good stuff here. I'm really enjoying this story.
Yep. So then we get an official announcement. William Regal officially makes Ember Moon versus Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship official at TakeOver Orlando.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, you figure TakeOver Orlando, they want to give the appearances this night before WrestleMania, that it's the most stacked card NXT has to offer, and Ember Moon versus Asuka is a match we've been waiting for. Should be excellent.
Man, this WrestleMania weekend is going to be so underwhelming, isn't it?
Probably.
At least last year we had like Joe versus, I think, Balor, and Asuka versus Bayley, and Nakamura Zayn for NXT. But now I feel like this weekend, this WrestleMania weekend, is going to pretty much just be the triple threat tag match, and everything else is going to underwhelm.
I think Ember Moon Asuka has a chance to be really good.
I don't think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be a cool story, but I don't think the match is going to be anything special at all.
I'm still excited because you remember I told you a while back, they had worked house shows together, and one house show they got a standing ovation. And I'm like, if they could replicate that, this could be a really good NXT Women's Championship match. So I think the triple threat tag title match. And yeah, because I'm not really excited about the NXT Championship because I'm just assuming that we're going to get Rude Nakamura too.
But if we do get Ono Nakamura, that would be some upside right there.
Yeah, I agree. Too bad it's not going to happen, though. I just don't see it. But I could be wrong. Because, see, the way I won't get into that. That's why we do TakeOver preview and predictions. But, well, it's probably going to be an underwhelming weekend. We got a little ways away before we get there. So what came after this?
We got the reminder that Ono versus Rude is next week, and then we got a sit-down interview with Tom Phillips with Cassius Ono.
What'd you think about this?
It was all right. I mean, Ono pretty much just says what he's already said. He says that he's been everywhere, and everywhere he's gone, he's worked his way from opening match to main event, and he's held titles everywhere he's gone. And then when he thinks about NXT, that's like the blemish on his career, and he wants to make it right, and he wants to win the NXT title.
Yeah, there was nothing really exceptional about this, but I did like the delivery. I like that he's just sticking to what he's been saying, that I want that NXT championship. And it'd be so cool, to go in as the champion on TakeOver Orlando, the biggest show that NXT has. We go from that to Bobby Roode, right? Because he's via satellite.
Sir. Yeah, in quote-unquote his house, even though it literally looks like he's in like a funeral home.
I know, but you can tell it's his house though, because the only picture he has of it in it is him
himself.
in his robe. Yeah, with the NXT title, and yeah, he pretty much says like, I came here to make NXT glorious. I am the NXT champion, and do you really want some, like, I think he called Ono pretty much close to like a dirty hippie or something, because I know he didn't call him fat.
Yeah, I know, dude. I laughed so hard at that. He was like, do you really want, look at me and look at Cassius Ono. Do you want someone like me representing you as NXT champion, or do you want some long-haired, hippie-looking guy from the 70s? Like, dude, you're the heel. Why did you take the high road?
I know, right? Like,
you should be Samoa Joe. He's fat up in this bitch.
Yeah, see, look, and you, Bobby Roode was in TNA for years, especially when Scott Steiner was around. You're telling me you didn't pick up anything?
Right?
Come on. I would have loved if Bobby Roode would have been like, Tom, if I was a Big Mac, maybe Cassius Ohno would be intimidating. But as he is now, he's nothing. Like, at least use something of a Steinerism, even if you have to make it your own. God, I love that from Steiner.
Shaves his head, tattoos his face, thinks he's going to intimidate me.
Cuts his hair, paints his face, thinks he's threatening me. Maybe if I was smothered in a Twinkie. I don't even know, man. Steiner's nuts.
That guy threatens is the donuts at the freaking Fiesta bar.
I think when Samoa Joe had that whole abducted and now I'm part of the Nation of Violence thing, Steiner had another promo because every interaction with Lauren, who was the interviewer, was hilarious. And he's like, I think when they were talking about Samoa Joe, he's like, oh yeah, I just took a dump, and just like that, just telling her like, yeah, I just got done taking a dump, and that was more terrifying than Samoa Joe, or just something to that effect. It's fucking hysterical. So like, yeah, Roode was around all of that. Knew Steiner for years. Steiner even said, I even praised Bobby Roode. He's like, yeah, that guy can go. So they had some kind of a rapport, and you learn nothing. Because when the opportunity presents itself to say to Cassius Ohno, you're fat, bruh, you don't take it. I don't know, man. Disappoint.
And the thing is, like, I kind of... It's weird because that never got brought up with Joe. But with Joe, like, at least Joe carries his weight reasonably well. Ono just looks sloppy, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I even told you when we were watching those Wrestle Circus highlights, and it was the one where Cassius Ohno was on, like he was in the main event. Like, the motherfucker looks like he swallowed Santa Claus. Like, the fuck is it? Like, he works great. I enjoy his matches, but appearance-wise, if aesthetic matters at all in wrestling, let's just call it for what it is. Cassius Ohno is a big motherfucker. And the idea that Roode didn't even touch on that when, yeah, he does have the chiseled body and the beard and everything. Like, why wouldn't you touch on it? I feel like that's heel 101.
Like, he even addressed the difference in appearance, but the one thing he didn't touch was the weight.
I know. I don't know, man.
That would be like someone being like talking about a black guy and being like, hey, do you really want someone like him representing us? A Democrat?
Yeah, right? Oh man, I don't know. I just feel like Scott Steiner watched that segment. He was shaking his head like, man, Bobby, you just don't know, do you? But yeah. But then again,
you dropped the ball, Roode.
But then again, I'm sure Steiner really doesn't have high expectations of anybody that's from Mexico North.
For a guy whose last name is Roode, I feel like Bobby was profoundly polite in this segment.
Yeah, if anybody really got verbally abused, it was Tom Phillips. He's like, I got better things to do than talk to you, Phillips. Hey, feelings. And he told the cameraman to get out of his house. So, yeah, that was a thing. And then we transitioned from that to Shinsuke Nakamura versus TJ Perkins. I really enjoyed this. I think I like NXT main events when they give guys, or just NXT matches in general, when they give guys that are so undervalued on the main roster, or maybe don't really, or maybe they lose what made them great originally, like we talk about so often, and they give them time and they give them that room to breathe. And the TJ Perkins we saw here, like I said, from an in-ring standpoint, I haven't enjoyed Perkins this much post Cruiserweight Classic. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed his work here. I love the submission sequence at one point when they were battling for control of the armbar. It was like triangle, then into an armbar, but no, TJ's got the armbar, but no, now it's back to the legs. And like that whole submission chain they did, I was like, damn, that's impressive. So yeah, this is a really well wrestled match. I like the psychology too in the latter half because again, with the submissions and everything, Perkins was targeting the knee a bit more. So it kind of creates the narrative, oh, did Nakamura return prematurely? What is the state of that knee? Because that's how Rude was able to capitalize and win the title. So, yeah, I actually feel like this main event, for all the weirdness of NXT, for all the really succinct matches, this main event packed a punch. I mean, what did you think about it? Because I really haven't heard you speak about it yet.
I mean, yeah, it was a fun main event. We got to see Shinsuke Nakamura dab, which is something I never thought I'd see in my entire life. So that was interesting. But, yeah, this was fine. I definitely feel like you enjoyed it more than I did. I definitely feel like you're praising it more than I would have. But yeah, it was fine for what it was, and it was enjoyable. It was definitely the match of the night. Not that it really had much competition, but still, It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Nakamura gets the win with the Kinshasa knee. And yeah, then we go to Regal, who announces that whoever wins next week between Ono and Rude, they're going to go to TakeOver Orlando as the champion to face Shinsuke Nakamura. So, again, I'm just assuming Rude's going to win that one. It would be so cool if Ono won, and then maybe later he'd turn heel, because that's what I really want to see as a heel Ono on NXT. This babyface stuff, to me, actually contributed to the weirdness of tonight. Like, I know he's face, but then seeing him, like, speak so politely and, oh, yeah, it'd be so cool to live my dream. No, you destroy dreams. Oh, no, you don't live them. Come on, man. So, yeah, I'm just waiting for the heel turn. I'd love a heel Ono versus Shinsuke. We'll see if that ever comes. But, yeah, Ono Rude next week. Shinsuke will be waiting for them at Orlando. And that's pretty much NXT. Do you have any other remarks you want to make before we move on to our next segment?
No, sir.
High spots and low shots. I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to say my low shot is the Ely brothers, because there's a difference between losing and not even competing in the first place, and you guys were the latter. Like, you really have not been able to show in all this time what you're made of, because I feel like both times you've been assaulted. So you're not even wrestlers, you're human punching bags. And that's a pretty pitiful state. When Mojo Rawley points and laughs at you, you pretty much should give up on life. So, yeah, the Ely brothers are my low shot.
Yeah, they're pretty pathetic as far as kayfabe goes. They just can't get anything in edgewise, can they?
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. So who is your low shot?
Oh, God, I'm so stupid. I spent all this time trying to think of my high spot, and I came up with an answer, and now I'm on the spot for my low shot. Just go with Billie Kay. I mean, she lost, and then she got injured, so that's a pretty shitty night for her.
Absolutely. I do wish her the best. I hope she gets well soon.
For sure.
Very, very scary event. Again, very discomforting for me. I don't really like seeing stuff like that, and it's just the sad reality of this industry. High spot. Oh, man. You know what? It's such a weird night tonight. And again, I hate to keep using that word, but it's the only one I keep coming back to. I'm going to say, you know what? My high spot is the Revival. Because the AOP pretty much gave them the night off by assaulting their opposition. And when the AOP seemed like they were going to rip their heads off, they got away. And to commentary's point, them being so frustrated and flustered shows that, at least in psychological warfare, the Revival are winning. Because the AOP are embarrassed and they know it. So things are actually working in the Revival's favor, and they haven't a scratch on them to show for it yet. So I'm going to make them my high spot for that reason.
Good call. I like it.
Who's your high spot?
Well, my high spot, I actually decided a little bit earlier. My high spot is going to go to Andrade Cien Almas because he just had a really good showing and he won his match.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Can't really dispute that.
Even if it is just to be built up, to be fed to Aleister Black.
Yeah, God, I hope you're wrong. But you're probably right, because I even put it forward in the first place. So really, I hope I'm wrong for once. But yeah, any concluding remarks on NXT tonight?
I don't think so, man. This is a weird, loaded, not so loaded, lots but not a lot, quality over not quantity over quality. I mean, kind of show.
Yeah, you know, all those words coming in, that was pretty much NXT, just like everything just like happening. And I don't even know.
It's like that freaking Rick and Morty interdimensional TV ad, like two brothers, and then a meteor hits, and then it's like all this stuff. But wait, there's also old ladies in dominatrix wear, and they're coming to get you.
And then it just gets so absurd that you hear the two guys like breaking down and laughing at the end, like
Yeah,
it's
two brothers and two brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel with NXT. Like I'm just proud of us that we kept it together this long, because I just want to throw my hands up in the air and I'm like, okay, that happened. Yay us!
I'm gonna give us a round of applause.
You know what? I'm going to give us the honorary high spot because everybody else sucked tonight. I have expectations for you people, and yet you don't deliver. And yet William Regal's just like,
well,
oh,
that was your
wonderful.
first mistake.
Yeah, exactly. So with that said, guys, I know.
Let's get out of here. We have Dirk Gently to watch.
Yeah, we do. All right, guys. With that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-host and commentary. And guys, you can check out everything we're a part of in the description. Everything from our Twitter to our Teespring store. It is all there in the description box, so please check it out before you leave here. If you haven't already, please leave a like on the video. Liking the video makes us the top search result on YouTube. And when you're
come on, guys. We have 10 live viewers, only 3 thumbs up. You're slacking.
That is an off ratio. Yeah, we need to get proportions up in here. We need to even it out. So yeah, please do that, guys. And the only 2 things I can really think to plug: one, most immediately, tomorrow, Patreon review, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be reviewing D-Generation X in your house, 1997. Going to be a very fun review. Can't wait to talk about it here with my cohort and commentary. And just, yeah, should be a great time. Other than that, guys, because that's our last bit of content for the week, if I'm not mistaken, Ashton.
Yep.
But looking into the future, March 31st, Q&A. Last Friday of every month. It'll be the 31st this month. It'll be Q&A number 9. Get your questions in. We've already got a good bit of questions in, which I'm pleasantly surprised by. Let's see how many more we can get in. You guys have 23 days now, over 3 weeks to get your questions in. That window is still wide open. And you guys have 4 questions now. We raised the cap from last Q&A. It used to be 3. It is now 4 questions per Q&A. You guys have a multitude of mediums with which to submit questions. You can do it on this video when it's done processing, and you can leave comments. You can tweet at us your questions. You can PM questions on the Facebook. And if you do that, please leave a like on our TWitWoW Facebook page. So yeah, no reason why you can't get questions in, and you can divvy up your questions any way you like. It could be all 4 for both of us if you want, so you get 2 times the answers on everything you're thinking about. Or if you're just like, man, Ashton really knows football so much more than John, I'm going to ask him a football question. You could ask something exclusively to Ashton. Or if you want to ask me something about philosophy, which I've gotten asked a few times, you could just ask me. As long as we say that it's okay, yeah, just ask anything you like. And yeah,
or
guys,
if you really want to screw with us, you could ask me the philosophy questions and John the football questions.
Oh god, yeah, that'd be so embarrassing for me. I'd be like, I envy you, and yet I get stuck with this crap. So yeah, if you really want to fuck with us, that's another idea. Thanks for putting that out into the universe there, partner. But yeah, anything at your discretion, guys. Just fuck with us, because we live to serve. But yeah, please do join us for the Patreon review tomorrow. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We are going live. Should be so much fun. I love doing these. You guys are amazing for donating to the Patreon. And of course, we achieved the community goal recently with SmackDown Live reviews. And we're doing quite a few Patreon reviews this month. I know Ashton's been telling me. So as far as Patreon
we're gonna be doing D-Generation X in your house this week, WrestleMania 19 next week, WrestleMania 20 the following week, I believe.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Ashton, that's the most Patreon reviews in a given month yet since we started doing this. Like,
that would be correct.
Yeah, this is a really productive moment with Patreon reviews, which just shows again how fucking amazing you guys are. So thank you for that. And yeah, we will see you then, guys. So until then, tune in and peace out.